Welcome to... It's way funnier with the headphones on. Well, welcome to this week's edition of Las Películas Sábados Gigantes at the Cinema Marijuana Theater.
Yay!
Yay!
Who are we applauding for?
I don't know. It says
for
ourselves, but we have to have
because
like,
we're
that moment of
awesome.
silence.
It's a self-congratulatory thing. We are a cinema society that meets weekly to view and discuss films that we select in a random fashion, so we never know in advance what we're going to watch. Except for today, kind of, because I pretty much declared that we already know who's winning today.
Oh, Snake doesn't get a pick?
But no, because the new theme has to start on the 7th.
Oh, I see.
The 7th of November. So that gives us, we've got basically this week, next week, we're off the 24th because John and I are going to be in LA, and then we'll do something different for Halloween because everybody's going to be busy from what I understand, and most people won't be here.
The Spoondock Saints win.
Right. So, okay. So, but this week, we are here to discuss the film Nightcrawler from 2014, written and directed by Dan Gilroy, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, Riz Ahmed, and Bill Paxton. And this was selected by Jason last week. So, before we get into that, let's go around and do introductions. We'll go clockwise, starting with me. I'm Ed.
I'm Raul.
Jason.
Kenzie.
Chris.
Snig.
I'm Matt.
Jesus, are you two trying to like out-quiet each other?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Well, of course, when we say quiet, we're talking to you.
So, yes, we are here to watch Nightcrawler.
Yeah, right.
So, before we find out from Jason why he picked Nightcrawler, let's go to Kenzie for our synopsis
Okay.
of what Nightcrawler was about.
Okay. Nightcrawler is about this guy, Lou, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, who dated Taylor Swift. And
Very important.
he's this youngish guy struggling to find a job in this horrible, cruel world. And then he kind of sets up his own gig where he listens to police calls and scans and then races to the scene of some kind of incident and tries to get footage that he can sell for big bucks to local news stations. And during the movie, there are morals called into question and all sorts of other issues.
Excellent.
There you go, Condi.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent,
In
excellent
your face,
description.
Condi.
That's a little bit better. She's getting better.
So,
It's like she paid attention this time.
I know.
It
We're getting her some coaching up.
it's starting to set in. It's finally starting to take effect.
Well, she must have liked this movie, so she actually paid attention to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It has this kind of myotonia that takes over when her boredom has won out.
Well, yeah,
And
that's how
you
you
can
know.
tell from a distance that she's like not with it.
This is going to
any
be a
longer.
highly rated movie by Kenzie because she gave it a proper synopsis.
Yeah,
And I also knew about the dating life of the star.
Yeah.
Well, of course,
she's
she
got
does.
additional
It's
information.
Taylor Swift information. She
All
knows
right.
this.
So before we get into our opinions on the film and then furthermore to discuss some of the themes brought up in the film, let's go to Jason and tell us why you picked Nightcrawler.
Is it next on my queue on Netflix? I hardly ever watch whatever I'm going to pick for this society. I like to be just as surprised as everyone else.
Which is a valuable addition because few of us actually do that.
Yes, very brave.
But it also means I have like the second lowest ratings out of anyone here, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
This movie's going to bring up your average.
It does. That's true.
There's been some stinkers, but
I've had I think 3 picks that were overall liked.
Well,
you had
This one, Chinatown, and I think maybe Los Crímenes was liked.
yes, yeah. Time Crimes went over well, but otherwise, yeah, certainly there's been some hotly debated titles that you've selected prior to the podcast era. So there you have it. Thank you, Netflix. You should give us all free subscriptions for the free
as
press.
if you didn't know like the answer to that question, Ed.
Well, I may
But the
know,
audience
but does
doesn't.
our listening audience know? This is important for them. to
Can't
know
do
who
mise
they're
en
dealing
scene.
with.
So, question: did you know that it was next on your queue, or you just go to Netflix and hit go?
No, I knew it was next.
All right.
Well, I mean, I was like, what can I do that's a movie? Because there's a lot of TV in my queue as well.
Oh, right.
I'm like, all right, this one, been meaning to see it.
Okay, excellent. Well, so then with that out of the way, let's start. We will discuss how we thought about it. 3 minutes on the clock, clockwise. Raul, starting with you, tell us about Nightcrawler.
Starting now.
Yes.
I
Go.
I give it 4 stars. It was my favorite movie of 2014. I loved the shit out of it.
Wow.
It's not often we get a movie from the villain's point of view, so anytime we get a movie about a bad guy, I get kind of a little itchy downstairs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, the anti-hero is
you
a
liked Frank
alluring
better.
character.
I liked Frank a lot, but Nightcrawler just narrowly beat it out.
All right.
Like I think that and like Guardians of the Galaxy, I think Frank was like number 3 on my top 5 of last year.
Fair enough.
Frank was a sort of definitely more melancholy film.
But
Yeah,
it's
but I
great
just,
film.
I just had the feeling that he liked it better for some reason. I was wrong.
Probably because I went nuts when that movie came out. But yeah, so I mean, there's not much else I've got to say. I hate going first on these fucking things.
You like to build off of everyone else's
yeah,
crust.
and I know what everyone's saying, and
Okay, well, so 4 stars from you?
let's do 5.
5.
Because there's not a thing I would change in that movie. I genuinely thought everything was perfect, except maybe some of the score.
Right.
Because it got kind of emotional and uplifting at parts where it felt like it maybe shouldn't have.
So I
Right.
read something about that, and it was supposed to reflect his state of mind. So when the
Yeah.
score sounded triumphant,
Yeah.
it
Right.
was very
Yeah.
dark. It's
I can
because
see
he's-
that. I can see
He's having a triumph.
But
Yeah.
We're supposed to know something, but he's not supposed to acknowledge what we know that he knows something.
Right.
I mean, I like that movie so much. I imported a copy from the UK just to get it sooner and in a cooler case.
Nice. All right.
Damn, man.
Well, there we go. Okay, so 5 stars, and if somebody else brings up something that you'd like to add to,
Oh, I'm
feel
gonna
free-
chime in like a motherfucker.
please. Okay.
I just want to chime in on how he's itchy downstairs and sitting next to Jason.
Maybe that's what it is.
Well, it might have something to do with that chair, but my test results are still out, and I spent a lot of time on it too. So, all right, Jason, tell us what you. Let me reset this timer,
Sure.
and you tell us about Nightcrawler. Go.
I also really enjoyed it because sometimes I don't enjoy my picks. This one came out on top for me too. It was done beautifully. I mean, they had a lot of help just because it's L.A. and shooting it at night in a certain way, you're going to get a good looking film.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Raul's right. It's super tight. Like with the cast, you didn't need someone else. You didn't need someone to be cut.
Yeah.
I didn't really go looking very hard, but I didn't really see any like loopholes where I was like, what the fuck is that, or that's bullshit. Very like I remember reading something about the director saying like, well, I don't want to come out and say he's a sociopath, but I mean, it's very, very good portrait of a sociopath.
Yeah. What I read is that he said he found the term reductive,
I guess.
unnecessarily reductive.
I suppose, but I mean, like the only time you see him laugh was like he's like watching cartoons in the beginning, and you get the sense that maybe he's just like learning how to blend in.
From the
Yeah,
cartoons.
like a robot.
Yeah,
Well,
he never
the other
laughed
part-
about anything else.
It's like the
Well, I don't
equivalent
know.
of
I
the
don't know if that
sequels.
was like him laughing like genuinely to himself. But then there's that other scene where he's walking through the station and he's like being all chummy with everybody. And
I mean,
like,
that's
kinda laughing.
obviously
But
blending
that's
in, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's his act.
I'm thinking of the scene in Terminator where it's like he's like, "Wait, you got a dead cat in there," and he's trying to like select the response, and he lands like, "Fuck your asshole." I'm picturing like the same thing. Like, continue.
Pretty much. I did notice the score and it bothered me at first. I didn't make that connection right away. That it was supposed to like reflect his state of mind rather than like the audience's mood.
Yes.
But it wasn't so bothersome that I was like, that's BS. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, that's weird.
Right.
Sorry, off-screen comedy is happening right next to me. I won't name any names. If someone's being told how to smoke weed.
Some marijuana.
Keep that quiet.
I think I'm going to cut mine early too. I don't know how much time I
Okay.
have left, but I don't have a lot of bad to say, and I don't really have a lot of in depth to say other than like it's a great film. It goes to dark places. It does it in a very good way. Tasteful. There's nothing that's like it talks about like the graphicness and like untasteful depiction of this stuff in a very sort of like implicative sort of way.
Right. Okay. So what about what's your star rating on it then?
Oh, I do like out of 10, but it's like
Well, for the give it for the purposes of this, 5. Yeah. Give it out of 5.
it'd be like 4.5.
Okay. Okay. Excellent.
Integers, motherfucker.
Okay. Do you speak it? Okay, Kenzie.
Okay.
3 minutes on the clock. Tell us about Nightcrawler. Ooh, she's got notes. All right. Go.
Holy
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Wait, that's mine.
Okay.
You're busy.
Okay, so So, obviously, as predicted, I did like this movie a lot. A lot of people talk shit about Jake Gyllenhaal, which I was kind of proud of you guys for not doing.
Oh,
Because
wait
he
until my
actually
turn.
is like, really?
I fucking hate that guy.
He's a good actor.
I'm not saying he's not a good actor. I never said that once. I just said I fucking hate Jake Gyllenhaal.
Get out of here. Okay, well.
They used to be
so-
friends.
Rolling deep, 2 liters of hater.
That's
I
right.
had-
Bad blood.
That pug-looking
All
motherfucker.
full on.
Okay, no.
Let her
okay.
speak.
Yes,
Let her
please.
speak.
Let's not waste Kenzie's time with
Okay.
Gyllenhaal hate.
So I had a
Jill
lot
and
of
hate.
feelings about this. I love the main character. He was like so dangerous but so smart, and I loved him. And oh yeah, I had a lot of anxiety all throughout the movie, which is a good sign because it did mean it was doing its job
Right.
very well.
Drawing you in.
Yeah. So oh, and by the way, I'm glad I didn't see any trailers before the movie because we went back and watched the trailers after, and it gave away the whole thing. So if you saw the trailers before, I think you like went into it expecting a lot more.
The Red Band trailer was a little misleading and built it up more as a comedy.
I
and
just
the
think
and
it
the
shows
Green
whole,
Band
like,
trailers.
police shootout.
Yeah, the Green Band
which is,
trailers
like-
ruin everything.
Yeah.
Basically.
Some of the things I wanted to point out, just like what I was thinking during the movie with him and Nina. At first, I thought she was just going along with him to kind of like appease him because she was afraid of him and saw him as dangerous. But like in the end, when they're talking to each other and they're like staring into each other's eyes, and then the fucking guy is dying on the screen behind them, I'm like, no, they're actually really perfect for each other.
They're
both-
actually connecting over this. Well, you know,
Yeah.
I recently heard the term sapiosexual, which means, I guess, you are you're stimulated by intellect. I don't know what Newsiosexual would actually be called, but I had that thought too that somehow she's actually sexually stimulated by news or news production.
Well, 1941, it was planes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, maybe just gore and how she'll profit off of it. So
Okay. Or it could be money.
She's
She could
stimulated
be
by money,
cashiosexual,
yeah.
moneosexual.
Yeah.
Sexual.
Truly.
And then the last thing that really stuck out to me was the scene after the murder happens and he watches it, and while he's watching it, he's fine. And then it's not until he like goes back and rewatches it, and he like is shuddering when he goes and watches it. And at first I was like, oh, like he has a heart and feelings because he's now this is really affecting him. At the time it was like all adrenaline. And then looking back, no, he totally was like getting off on that.
Right.
Like he was just like having ecstasy over it.
A woman running down a hall with her throat.
I just thought he
full.
was like just super
Yeah.
jazzed about like actually capturing it.
I
thought
think
that's what it was.
I
What?
would imagine it was a combination of both.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think he would be chuffed on his own success.
Yeah.
I think,
I
I
think.
think he's more
Well,
about his success and how much money he was going to make
Such
off
a
of
great-
it.
Yeah, and all of
kinda
us take
thing.
a lesson in negotiation, and how he just walks in and says, "You're going to give me 15,000."
Yeah, right.
It's like, where do you just come up with that number? And where do you just get her to stick by it?
Yeah.
Well, exactly. But I mean, I guess in a way, he's got them kind of over a barrel.
Right.
So, all right. So, Kenzie, give us your star rating on this.
Probably 5.
Okay.
Ooh.
The only thing wrong is that it could have been longer, I think.
Okay.
It could have been longer.
Which
From
I'll
the-
never,
All right, wait, mark
ever
this
say
moment
that
in
ever
history.
again.
I know. Wait, who the fuck are you, and what have you done with the real
Kenzie
Kenzie?
wants longer movies.
I know. Like,
Well,
Yeah,
what?
that's never gonna.
It had Jake Gyllenhaal, and
Jesus.
right now you can drown a toddler.
That's
in
why
her
it took
panties.
it took a
No.
long time for this to finally work. But once it has, boy, it's worked like a motherfucker. Do either one of you guys want to jump in and give your opinion, your 3 minutes on Nightcrawler?
I was like,
Wait, Kenzie, would you allow Jake Gyllenhaal's character to manipulate you into a sexual relationship?
Yes, I'm very
I don't-
easily
I don't-
manipulated.
Required
it's
so much
not like it would be a
manipulation.
hard try there, Jason.
Well, his character, not Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's really
still.
good looking,
Like
but
Lou
I
Barlow
always
or
just
whatever
see
his
his
Lou
sister.
Barlow, he's from Sebadoh and Dinosaur Jr.
What was his last name in the
Puffin
movie?
on a pot pipe. That's my favorite Lou Barlow song. Okay, so Garrett Chaffin-Curai is joining us. 3 minutes. Tell us, give us your thoughts on Nightcrawler. Go ahead.
Well, on my drive over, I was trying to think about something funny to say, and something funny occurred to me. So it goes like this. I want to correct Kenzie's synopsis and all of your perspectives on what you watched last week, because really what you're seeing is the celebration of Heath Ledger's semen. if you recall, Jake Gyllenhaal as Jack Twist took a great big bunch of loads back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and then we think he died, although it happened off screen in Brokeback. But he decided he would move away from Wyoming to Los Angeles to become a new person and start over again. And of course, in the meantime, Heath Ledger died. And that's sad. But Jake is still with us, and somehow he's gotten younger, it appears. Because when we last saw him, he was 45-year-old cowboy donning a mustache.
Perhaps Heath Ledger's semen is like that stuff from the Dark Crystal they extract from the podlings.
Puppets need to march across the desert, man. They got to pick that stuff up.
The essence.
And I know that's just silly and it's vulgar and all of the rest, but it is sort of fun to watch an actor's career across its length and connect these odd dots. Because what's striking about Jake Gyllenhaal's physical performance is he did lose a lot of fucking weight. And most recently he did Southpaw, where he put on a bunch of fucking weight. Yeah. And he's a different kind of physical personality. And I know that you can have grievances against him, Condi. But he is a pretty intoxicating lead. And even though he's a really bad guy, I think it's hard to not be caught up in the fact that he learns that he can do something very, very well. There's that scene in it when he meets Russo's character on set, and he's smitten with the set and explains, I've redone my life's goals.
Nina Romina.
Yes. And he explains that I believe this is what I'm here to do, and I can do this well. And there's no evidence in the movie that he's not better than everybody else, both because he's willing to literally kneecap his opponents and, harm Bill Paxton. He should never do that.
And his partners.
But he's willing
to work for Kelly LeBrock.
Right. He's willing to do more than any of the rest of us to achieve a particular aim for which he is uniquely outfitted and excellent. And there's an odd thing that's really recognizably good about that. However, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. It's a hell of a movie, though. Mm-hmm. I don't have a whole lot more that's really going to string together coherently, but I just want to get Heath Ledger's semen into the conversation.
I think there's been an unfortunate dearth of that in these conversations.
That's my feeling.
Anyways.
He only fathered the one child that we know about, and I just have to sort of feel like there's just deposits every which way we look, and so here is one. Anyway,
and it's healing. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 5 stars,
I think it's
a
good solid 4 to 5 out of 5. I mean, it's a very good movie. I don't think it's like one for the ages exactly. However, I do think that, I'm in my 40s now, right? When I'm in my 80s reflecting on what it was to be a person in the early 21st century, thinking about what that time was like, this could be a touchstone. And it could be something to review and think about, we used to do a thing called watch TV. How stupid is that? But this is sort of what it was like, okay. And it is not bad. It's sort of giving you some design elements of Los Angeles in this time, at night. And those images are really quite beautiful. It makes murder not seem glamorous, but it aestheticizes it in a way that helps you understand that most anything through the right frame is beautiful, even the ugliness of the human spirit.
Yeah, just like Wes Bentley says with his plastic bag.
That's right.
In American Beauty.
That's right.
Okay, all right. Cody, do you want to? You want to give 3 minutes on Nightcrawler?
Sure.
Okay, all right. We are joined by Cody Griffin of Toothless Richard Productions. Go ahead and tell us about Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I love this movie up front. I saw it opening day. I was like the first batch of people in San Diego to see it. I got up at 7 a.m. to see this.
Jesus Christ! Nice.
$6 tickets. It was worth it.
Yeah.
But I love this movie because I'm a fan. Like what was said before, I'm a fan of dark leads. I love Taxi Driver. I saw a lot of similarities between this and Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Because it's all from his perspective, and it never kind of shows you what everyone else thinks of him quite. You get hints of it, but you don't really see.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like in Taxi Driver, you kind of get Albert Brooks kind of talking to him at the end of a scene about him, but you never really see what they're talking about once he fully leaves the scene.
Right.
I actually loved the score tremendously. I think it was snubbed. I think this movie was wholeheartedly snubbed in almost every category at the Oscars.
Agreed.
I actually have that on the list to talk about.
I'm shocked because it's a total send-up of modern news culture, which I would have thought would have been something that would have been praised more, because it really...
But you got to understand with the Academy that in the face of something that sucks Hollywood's dick...
Yes, of course. I mean, Birdman is essentially about the people who are giving it the award, so why not?
Yeah.
But Nightcrawler really is it's kind of a special movie because it's really different than everything else that I've seen in a while. Not that it's wholeheartedly original, but it's different than what's being made right now.
Absolutely.
Because it's very small scale, but it has elements of like a Portrait of a City, a la like a Heat, or something along those lines, where the city of Los Angeles is an equal character in that movie. Just in the way it's photographed and the way it's portrayed is like a living, breathing entity.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that element of it.
It's always nice when a filmmaker is able to effectively make the landscape.
Right, especially
sort
a
of
city
is-
like LA, which that's been done so many times, so it's interesting to see it kind of shown in a different light.
Right.
Where every other movie is set in LA. And it's kind of interesting to see, like, I didn't even know what a Nightcrawler was before this movie.
So it's educational and fun.
I had to go see if it was even real, because I didn't think it was, so.
Okay, so on 1 to 5 stars, what would you give it?
I would give it 5. I can't even think of anything I don't like in it, really.
Okay.
So,
All right, excellent. All right, Chris, take it away. Tell us, give us your thoughts on the Nightcrawler.
It was okay. No, I'm just kidding. It was good.
It was a
It was
movie.
really great. I love this movie because I don't know. I think this movie maybe more than any other movie. Maybe that's not a good thing to say, but I identify with the character so much where.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to say because I don't know that he's necessarily totally villainous.
There's no big steps for him that he takes. Like all along the line, it's like a decision that maybe you could see yourself convincing like yourself taking, but then it gets along down the line to where he's dragging bodies around and going inside of crime scenes. And stuff.
He's actually committing crimes. He's an accomplice basically to these crimes. Well, in a weird way.
Right. But it's like over and over and over again, you find yourself in like maybe like the city is so familiar. Anytime you've been downtown, you get that feeling of like chain link fucking fences and
right,
like taco shops and everything's dirty the same way, the same sidewalks and everything, and it's easy to place yourself in his shoes over and over and over again.
Yeah,
and like I feel like like you almost like find yourself fighting not to like go along with him down this like horrible journey that he's like
You're right.
he's going, and then it's
because
like
there's a couple of times I found myself like rooting for him, and it's like, am I supposed to be doing this?
You do, and then you fight it off. You're like, he's a bad guy, and then he gives these little speeches that he gets off the internet, like
Right.
like everybody needs to make sure you maximize your potential.
Yeah.
Fuck like that. And you're like, oh shit, like am I the one that's like and you see him find success in that. Like he gets the car, he gets the equipment, he gets the woman, he goes
from the Tercel to the GTO or whatever it is.
Yeah, and you're left, and really, I mean, for me at least, but maybe hopefully you guys are with me on this. But in the end, you're like, you're questioning the whole thing. You're not. It's like a flawed hero. It's obviously anti-hero, but
he's definitely not somebody to come to your birthday party.
No, he's.
He's out there everywhere.
Yeah, you can't knock him though.
Well,
for
I think
doing
too,
what he.
I think we're trained by Hollywood to expect that if he's a villain, he's going to have some kind of comeuppance.
Yeah, but he doesn't really.
Right.
He just kind of gets away with it. He gets everything he wants for doing whatever he
It turns
feels
out
like.
it's just like the end of Johnny Dangerously when he's like, crime doesn't pay, and then he gets in the limo with his hot wife and chauffeur, and he's like, well, it paid a little.
It's like, he's doing what everybody like wants to do at the cost of doing what we all avoid doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's willing to go farther than the rest of us.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
People, even seasoned veterans in the movie were not willing to quite go up and stick a camera in the face of somebody who's squirting blood from their neck. But I don't.
All right. Well, stars.
I think 5 stars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Condi, take it away.
Okay. I love this movie. I think it's great. I mean,
that is not what I expected to hear.
No.
What the fuck?
Sorry. This movie's fucking awesome. Although I felt him more akin to Patrick Bateman from American Psycho than anybody else.
This is like Gyllenhaal's American Psycho. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with that look in his face and that kind of gaunt look he had, and the way he was talking to everybody, and the way he was, he's technically the villain. Only because we wouldn't, we look at these things and we wouldn't do them, or we may not do them. It's like Chris was saying, how far would you go to get what you want?
Yeah,
he's willing to go the furthest. And, to Garrett's, like, I don't want him at my my birthday party because if he's there, something fucked up happened.
That's a line for the movie.
Yeah, if you see him, it's...
I'm going to sever my cock, put it on the table.
Yeah.
I
But
like to say that if you see me, you're having the worst day of your life.
yeah. I mean, the movie's great. I mean, he's willing to fuck over his competition. I mean, the sheer just terror look in the eyes of Bill Paxton when he sees him filming him, and he knows what's happened.
Yeah, right.
He
knows
he
he's
fucking
the one that
knows.
fucked his brakes.
And like, you know, the whole Rene Russo thing. It's like, you know, she bangs the shit out of him. Not because of him, but because what he's bringing her, and that's what she's turned on by. She gets to stay at a place for, you know, more than 2 years.
Because he's bringing home the proverbial bacon.
Yeah. and like, you know, she gets to do whatever she wants. She gets to call the shots. She's got this great stringer, you know, bringing her the best footage ever. And, you know, the way he goes about going things, it's just, you see him ironing his shirt, you know, doing his stuff, watching the Black Knight getting his head chopped off and everything else. And he's just sitting there laughing at that, like, you know, or watching it like a regular guy would. And then he goes out and does, you know, his stringer thing, and he just flips the switch. And then that's when he becomes, like, you know, the quote-unquote villain or the anti-hero or whatever you want to call him. I see him more as a regular person, willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do.
Yeah, he's
You know?
just willing to get a little dirtier than the rest of us.
Yeah. I mean, he commits crimes in the whole thing, but nothing, you know, up until like towards the end that would, you know, get him into serious trouble.
Right.
And just that break of the fourth wall when he's, you know, being interviewed, just, it was fucking amazing. When he just looks at the camera and he knows he's looking right at the audience.
Yeah, right.
I love that.
No, withholding evidence would.
Yeah,
get in
like
big
I
trouble.
said, up
Yeah.
until the
Yeah.
end.
That's in the middle of the film, though.
Well,
His activity, but then his willingness to lie about it.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Condi, give it to us in stars.
No, I gave it 4 stars on the site, but I think I would amend that to 5 because
All right.
I watched the movie
Yeah, I think I
again
gave
like
it 4.
the next day.
Excellent.
Nice.
It was a
Well,
great movie.
yeah, when they stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that too.
It-
All
it-
right.
this is probably Jason's best pick ever and ever will be.
Hang it up now, retire, man.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm trying to tell
You
him.
you
but
are
nicer.
you are now forgiven for Cannibal the Musical.
You didn't hear me say that.
You didn't have a spadoinkle day when I.
All right, Dr. Matlis, take it away.
All right.
Nightcrawler.
So this is the first time that I saw this movie, like, from beginning to end. I had started watching it like a couple months back, but then I forget how to run out and do something, and it was just like, it was getting up to the point in the movie where it was just like, you're getting enough of this character where it's just like, man, I'm gonna be made uncomfortable by this guy for like the next hour and a half. You know, so I was just like, do I want to go back there? I wasn't convinced that it was going to be like an awesome movie.
Right.
And I never went back to it until, you know, until last week when we watched it. But this is like, I'm like blown away now because I don't know what I was doing putting this thing on the shelf.
Well, it happens. I've done that with records where it doesn't strike me at one, then I'll go back 5 years later. Now I love it.
Yep. But everything that I was gonna say, I'm just gonna bounce stuff off of things that people have already said because everything has already been said about this.
Right.
Yeah,
Like the score, I absolutely love the score. I can kind of, you know, tell what it was doing with, like, from his point of view.
Sure.
Like the triumphant kind of score at parts. It was like the whole movie. Like it totally was from his point of view.
Right.
You know, so. And I just love that, just like having that kind of singular vision, and his vision was pretty fucking singular.
Like it's almost like you don't have to worry about them like arguing really too much over the morality of what's going on screen. Like it's up to you to kind of do that. Because he's sort of so obviously comfortable with what he's doing, and there's so sort of little involvement from the outside. It's never really questioned too much.
Yeah, but just his character was fantastically done. I just loved how, like because he is like a hyper intelligent guy,
right?
But he just like, and there's that line that he has at the end. It's like, do you actually think that he's a sociopath, or does he just not like people?
Right. Right. Yeah. He actually. Yeah,
so
very
I mean,
astutely.
it kind of puts that into your head. And is this guy just like doing like everything that other people in his chosen field are not willing to do?
Right.
And he's just willing to take it one step further each time. And like I think what Chris was talking about is like there isn't that ultimate like big leap to do something like super illegal. You know, it's like you get it in small increments.
Yeah.
And everything is like, okay, once he's doing that, it's like that wasn't so bad. And then like
Then he moves up to the
he
next
moves up
step.
to the next one, and it's like it's always like these small steps until he's just like, dude, who the fuck is this guy?
It's like he's all about taking shit to the next fucking level.
Yeah,
And that's what he
It-
does.
as-
He just takes it to like
sounds like part of his inspirational speeches.
He's a D. Antwoord fan, I imagine.
But
Yeah,
in the beginning, he does commit physical assault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he never
You're-
comes as dirty as that, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right.
I had kind of forgotten about that because it does establish his character right off the bat as being a thief and prone to violence. So
right.
but then there's this whole interaction between him and the other parties in his business, you know, with like Rene Russo.
Right.
And yeah, I just thought the whole thing was really fascinating.
Did you want to add something?
Well, there are two moments that just stand out for me as I reflect on it. One is right after the robbery where he does assault the rent-a-cop, and he's selling his scrap metal, and he asks for a job. Can I have a job? I'll start tomorrow. And the guy says, I don't hire fucking thieves.
Yeah.
and it's this lingering shot, as I recall. It's mid-shot to full shot, and you see him kind of
Process
shaking
it.
his head.
Yeah.
And point and kind of smile. And it's a very good moment of actorly like understanding. And
Right.
that's a transformative moment, away from being a thug into being a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more careful in what he's trying to do. And it's a good moment because I think he leaves behind like putting on the trunks to go wail on people and instead manipulate them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a very smart thing that goes on. But also in terms of like the moral universe this movie sketches, he himself, he poses bodies and he withholds evidence, but he's not committing crimes in the overt sense of like doing the violence.
Right.
He's just making sure he's present for if they should
But-
happen.
but-
like a wires into the police, there's this bad
Well,
thing can
no,
happen.
But
he
theoretically-
sabotages the other news guy's van.
Well,
You're right.
and
That's
also
a key
does do
detail.
that.
Yeah.
theoretically, it could be argued that with his withholding evidence, he's enabling more crimes to
Right.
be committed.
Well, he's hoping they're going to go
So-
blow up a taco
well,
shop.
of course.
And they do. But he's not the one who's going to blow up a taco shop.
Right.
He's just setting up he's puppet master.
That was kind of
Something about that. I've met people of authority over me or over people around me over time, and they share something about that. They're kind of willing to let you hang.
Yeah.
And then they'll profit from that if they can.
Yeah.
Maybe not in quite the way this movie sketches, but because movies are symbolic as much as they're literal to us as we watch them, I think that's what kind of sticks with you.
Right.
That we do have people in control of our lives who will put us in situations where we're forced to do things we don't want to go do that will harm us in some way, psychically, physically, emotionally, or whatever. And he has no trouble doing that.
Yeah.
He's not at all concerned about
He's
it.
able to switch that
Yeah.
that part off. Okay, all right. So, Dr. Matt, let's give it to us in stars.
There was nothing that I would change about this movie. I thought it was just perfect. I'm giving it 5.
Okay. 5 star. All right, so that brings it to me. I'll just go over my notes really quick that I wrote down during the film. If he's so skilled, I wrote, if he's so skilled, why did he not have more early and normal success? He seems. That's one of the things that puzzled me about the character is, which led me to another thought. Like,
where's his family?
it's
Where did
like,
he live? Where did he come from? He just appears.
He's basically Lieutenant Commander Data as a sociopath. It's almost it's almost as if it's almost like the movie should have started like the fucking Terminator with like, you know, you see like this empty parking lot and the wind and, you know, trash blowing through, and then this ball appears with lightning, and then he fucking gets out of it. And it's Jake Gyllenhaal because he goes because it's like
that would have only increased Kenzie's enjoyment because you can't travel with clothes.
you would have had to see his Donecker swinging around, which would have been wonderful. But yeah.
Well,
But-
according to the legend, he rode in on a horse, right?
But what? Yeah, right. But so I was just it was interesting that he is so determined and so sort of headstrong and so willing to learn that it's like, how did this guy get to this point in life and be like where I don't have anything?
I think it's just he didn't know the game.
Well, was
Or
he?
a game.
But you would
Yeah,
think
He
like,
didn't have a direction.
I mean,
No.
it's not
but
like
you would
he's
think he would have
21.
developed
What was
something.
he
That's
doing?
what I'm saying. He's in his 30s. Like what is the
Yeah.
what is his life up to this point been like? That like why is he making a living stealing manhole covers? You know what I mean? Like if he's that like astute of a learner. This is not a criticism. I'm leveling at the film. This is just something that I was thinking about.
students, and I see a lot of 25, 30-year-old young men who don't have parents.
Right.
They don't have aunts and uncles. They have no friends in the normal sense of thinking people care for them, and so
it takes them a while to stumble into stuff that they.
Right. And he happens to have intellectual gifts.
Right.
A certain reserve of moral judgment.
Yeah.
I've always
you presume a family would provide you. So he seems to me an orphaned kind of a person.
Right.
Soul or whatever is a big word, but that's kind of what he is. He amounts to a lot of the people who bump into stuff. And his regimen is not to go get an education in the traditional sense.
Right.
It's to figure out his way, and it takes trials.
Yeah. He obviously, but he clearly is learning from it. And then I also wrote down what's scary, someone willing to go farther than normal, because that's clearly, the issue and why he's sort of villainous to the audience. What the fuck? Is there a legitimacy to his dropping social pretense? People are taken aback by his matter-of-fact manner and is willing to just go straight for the proverbial jugular.
I thought that was
but
Asperger's.
Is there is it real? Is that something that is?
My whole theory is that he's a sociopath with Asperger's,
Right.
because of the way he clings to knowledge so fast and hard, and he tore through learning so much shit
Right.
about his business, and he could recall it like this. And I've babysat kids with Asperger's and stuff, and they're just like that, but about Minecraft.
Really?
And I always felt he's on the same side, or he's on the same coin, but different side of Driver from Drive.
Right.
Okay.
Where you have a getaway driver who's autistic,
Right.
and now you have a cameraman
Who is
with
Asperger's?
And they're both similar. Is it the same city? Both L.A., I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found a lot of similarities between those two films. A lot. They pair very well.
That's a good vibe. I hadn't thought of it.
Neurodivergence, a popular theme. All right. And is he an alien?
What?
I also wrote, he says he hates people yet seems to relish the interaction with them. Somehow, that was interesting. He brings up that he's I just don't like them, but then he seems to sort of get energized from having these conversations with people.
He's
Like who?
energized
But
from
about
seeing-
him, with anybody, with Nina or the boss, the guy that was buying the manhole covers.
He's
yeah.
The security guard.
He's energized from seeing, he knows a system, he puts it into motion, and it has an outcome that he likes.
So it's observable proof that what he's doing is working.
Yes.
I get it. He's like the news Terminator. I wrote that down. Okay, so anyways, 5 stars for Nightcrawler. So, Kenzie, how much time is left on that timer?
I don't know.
Let's find drum roll, please. Let's find out.
21:54.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I've got a few issues. Before we start this, in the past couple of podcasts, I've referred to this segment as Balls Deep. But the thought occurred to me today that might be a little crass to want to stick with. So Chris and I were discussing the possibility of perhaps calling it something else, because I figure once I've gone a couple of weeks more, it's going to be a regular thing.
How about Balls Deep?
And then getting at
Dude,
wow, Balls
nailed it.
Deep. Hey, okay.
Jackpot.
Mind blown.
We had a couple of other suggestions written down here.
For the record, I actually liked Balls Deep. But
Well, but how do you feel about this part of the podcast?
So I had written down, we had brass tacks, sticky the icky, sweet deets, tapping the marrow for a hilarious Patient Zero reference that only 3 of us are going to get. Sticks and stems, but Balls Deep is pretty good. So
Well, put that to the
maybe
list.
we'll be calling it that now. All right, so we're going to go down. We're gonna go through these issues I've got here, and I'll put some time on the timer, and so everybody jump in. First thing I wrote down is Lewis, and we've kind of discussed it a little bit in our reviews, but is Lewis Bloom a bad guy? And if no, who is the villain in this film? Or who does the film want us to think the villain
The
is?
villain is L.A.
The audience.
Well,
No, I don't think
society.
he's a villain.
Right.
No, yeah.
He's just.
It's making a lot of noise.
Oh, sorry about
No
it.
worries, no worries.
Jeez.
Sorry, guy.
Technical
Well, this
difficulties.
is Chris's MO.
Gotta mess everything up.
Okay, please continue.
No, I think that he does have some mental problems that does not, make it conducive to him relating to other people.
Right.
But I could see him being an Asperger's, just not not having that kind of social connection doesn't limit you from learning this game and like profiting from it.
Right.
You know, and he's willing to do what other people aren't.
His
So
interaction.
despite the fact that he is a repeat felon and he actually causes death and physical harm, hospitalization, and possible death for other people as well, he's still he's still not contemptible enough to be considered a villain.
I don't think so.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. If there was a point at which he crosses over into villain, I think it's like quite late in the movie because even when he's,
I would say that arguably it's when he cuts the brake cable to Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
I would say it's when he beats the security guard
Yeah.
right away. You're
Oh,
like,
at the
"This is
beginning
not
of
a
the
good
film.
guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
To watch.
yeah,
Yeah.
Touche. That's actually
Yeah,
a very
that's true.
serious
That's
point.
That's
So
the thing.
but it's sort of like when
for
he.
me. Sorry.
right off the bat, we
one
see
more
him-
thing. One more thing. Like when he's moving the body, it's just like he's getting really into the whole photography thing. He's just like, I want this shot to look like this.
I'm practicing.
It's
framing.
like
Right.
I'm practicing
Right.
framing. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
He broke into the house the scene before.
Right, because you needed that shot.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the door
Yeah.
was
That's
open.
right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like he pushes it too far and then he like charms you back with like he does something that you disagree with and then shows you how like the virtue of it.
He justifies it.
But I think
somehow.
that
He's
makes a
always
good
got
villain, though.
justification.
That makes a great villain is someone who can do so much shitty stuff
Yeah.
and still bring you back.
Yeah.
And
but
still
you're
get
totally
you
codependent.
onto his side.
Yeah.
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 Scooping like the marrow out of the kid's brain skull, and then like saying, "Would you
But
like
he'd
this?"
film it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. He would. If he was at that kind of a party.
Yeah.
So as the director has said, like, you know, he doesn't think of Bloom as a psychopath or I mean sociopath because he, like you said, he finds the term too reductive. Is the villain? Are we the villain? Because we
Sorry.
I mean we
was
society as we are the consumers of the material that the networks and the news programs are selling that Louis Bloom is creating. Doesn't that make us the villain? It's like the argument, like, okay, if I do cocaine, I should be able to do that legally. But someone who disagrees says, well, no, because your money is funding people who are criminals and they're going to hurt other people. So, sort of, you have a responsibility in this, right? So, if he's not the villain, is it us? Because we're the society that consumes
yeah.
this
I
stuff.
think that was
I think
a
he's
pretty
just
clear message.
He's just a point. I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh no, I was gonna say like villain number 1 was Lewis. Villain number 2 is the audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
that's true.
Pretty damn clear.
Because he just plays a part like as a member of
He
society
fulfills a need.
that points
No appetite, he has
that
no
points the
appetite.
spotlight on certain aspects of ourselves. Because
Right.
like this is. I'm sure this is on your list of Bowls Deep, but the whole thing about like I was going through so many past moments like on news, just like watching this movie. I was thinking of what was the dude in the LA riots that got hit? The trucker that got
Rodney-
hit in the head with a brick.
Reginald Denny.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so many others. There was this dude
Even
that
more
like
recently, there was somebody
blew
who
his
jumped
head
off
off.
a bridge that made it on the front page of the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or this dude that was like he was trying to get like health coverage or something for his wife, and like the HMO like was shooting him down.
Sandwiched
Right.
himself and started marching around.
No, he stopped his car on this overpass and like with a shotgun blew his head off. Like,
Wow.
and it was on fucking
TV.
live TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are just like fixed. They're just transfixed to their TVs.
Yeah. Well,
like
of course.
watching that stuff.
Of course.
And like, yeah.
Well,
and-
actually, actually, you're leading into the next thing on my list, which is, does the media deserve this criticism? So continue.
well, let's see. Anybody else want to jump
Yeah,
in?
to me, it feels like he's not really. I don't know if we're the what is it, the villain or not. Seems like the media plays like the villain, and he's like an arm, like the nasty fingertip or whatever. of it.
Right, like he's
You know,
like
yeah.
he's like the Luca Brasi of like the Corleone. Like Vito Corleone doesn't go out and kill a motherfucker himself,
Yeah,
but he's
But you
still
you don't
basically
necessarily-
complicit. I mean, he's
yeah. You don't necessarily blame the people buying, booze or whatever. It's
when
it's
there's
the mafia that's the bad guys.
Right.
Everybody
It-
wants
well-
wants the prohibition booze.
It's the cycle of life and whole. If we weren't hungry for it, there wouldn't be there's the whole supply and demand thing.
Well, okay, well, just because Richard Roper in his review of the film gave it only a C+. He called Gyllenhaal's performance brilliant, but ultimately saying, I didn't buy the ending, and there were just too many broad jabs at the TV news business.
Yes, definitely.
And because my whole thing is, I kind of agree with the criticism that, like, it's news is exploitive, but I'm also kind of, cynical and jaded about shit, and I tend to look at something and see initially, like, what's wrong with it. So for me, this kind of the charges like leveled at the media sort of within this film are totally valid. But does anybody want to stick up for TV news here?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, so we think they're basically we are all then in agreement that TV news is basically the buzzards of
pretty much. I mean, I was getting a whole lot of the kind of ending note that Natural Born Killers gives you.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
And I remember watching that in the movie, and like who the hell was it?
Robert Downey Jr. played the reporter.
Well, yeah. I mean, he did a great part in that movie too, but very kind of reminiscent of Rene Russo's character. But
what were you gonna say, Kenzie?
Okay,
Go ahead.
like recently that shooting at that school.
The one in Oregon?
Yes.
Okay,
so the Oregon sheriff was like, yeah, I know the shooter's name, but I'm not going to announce it because we shouldn't be giving him any recognition or whatever. And then, like, the first thing the news does is say, oh, the sheriff wouldn't give out his information, but we have that. So the shooter's name is da-da-da and all this information.
Makes it even
and
more
it's like,
juicy.
you assholes, really? Fuck you.
Well, yeah, the TV knows they're the people that, like, I know your son just got shot in the face and is dead right in front of you, but how do you feel about it? They don't care. They care about their ratings. Their ratings is what pays
because
them.
that's money. That's
so
where the
yeah,
money's coming.
they don't care about society. They don't care about you.
No, let me play the flip side of that, because there was a recent shooting. I think it was in Virginia.
Right.
The that happened live, and it was the
reporter,
the
news
cameraman.
reporter and her cameraman. Yeah.
And the news station that where they worked, I mean, they had to report the news as it was coming in,
Right.
about
Their
their friends.
blasted. Right.
Yeah. And so I just want to throw that out there as
Then
sort of like
maybe there was one time there was justice out there for the news.
Well,
maybe one time they got what they fucking deserved.
and let me point out to that is that station, to their credit, did what they had to do. People still have to do their job, whether you're sick, whether you're what. They did it more delicately than every other station that covered it in that entire area, because it was like one of their own.
Yeah.
Now, if it was like, station B across the street, where their anchor and their cameraman got shot, they'd be like, well, blah, 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 and, they wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, it just goes to show how slimy they are. That's basic.
All right.
Human emotion.
So you
right?
heard it here first at the Cinema Marijuana Theater. TV news people are scumbags. And I happen to, and actually it's funny being in the sort of the program at school and being around a lot of people that want to be in news. They are fucking scumbags. I'm not really going to name any names, but there are so many fucking people who, like, if I was the type of person that I could just eradicate somebody without, like, reprisal, they're just fucking pieces of shit. And there seems to be something about TV news that brings these pieces of shit out of the woodwork.
We
I
need to
heard
have
Bill
a purge.
Cosby was going to be in broadcast news.
They help. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next thing on my list, how voyeuristic are we as a society? Are we the villain? Because even though I've just basically assailed, TV news, I'd like to add as a potential counterpoint to this, wouldn't we watch the news anyways if they all said we're not showing anything bloody and they just showed us like kittens with like balls of yarn? I mean, watching the news or reading the newspaper. Well, I mean, as a society. Most people get news somehow. Either they read a newspaper, they watch the news, or they seek out news. So, like, getting news is a regular part of life.
People are always going to want to see.
What I'm saying is, are people really selecting the news they watch on TV based on like the bloodiness of the footage? And if TV news was to like take a step back and kind of all take some kind of Hippocratic oath not to do that, like, wouldn't their ratings still be the same?
No.
Well, they had that, didn't they? They took it away. They used to have to report real news, right? But then they repealed that. It was a law.
I don't know. I don't
remember that.
know about
Citation
this.
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to know what kind of. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I'm
can
sure,
find
but
it.
well.
The FCC has a fairness.
Oh, hey, jump on the mic.
Fairness. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, there is a doctrine, the fairness doctrine, which was adopted 70, 80 years ago as a policy, but never a law, never forcefully restricted. And with the Reagan era in the 80s and a lot of different things being deregulated, that fell apart because nobody wanted to stand up for it in principle. At the same time, there was a boom and a sudden growth in AM radio stations that had once played popular music but were ceding the field to FM radio. That became entertainment punditry, where religious leaders, political leaders, crazy people would get a signal and do their thing.
Art
But
Bell.
they weren't restricted to doing news. Limbaugh is not a news programmer. He's an entertainer. But he's an entertainer who produces news programming. You see what I mean?
Yes,
And that
absolutely.
distinction is exactly how cable news became online. Although CNN was trying to do 24-hour programming, it had to compete against the Yoo-hoos out on the edges. And the Yoo-hoos out on the edges, by just existing, forced the center to change its sort of frame. And so consequently, when we watch Lou's stuff that he produces, and we see the stuff that then Nina shows on her program, I tell you, I flip switches to KUSI at night. I look at NBC News locally here in San Diego. That's where we are, everybody, San Diego. And it didn't seem that much different from when shitty stuff happens once every quarter or so. We have some monstrous, really vulgar, violent event. It was no different. And I think, so to the point, the idea of being truthful has always been an ideal principle for journalists, but journalists have had to become entertainers because entertainment is what people have begun to glom onto, especially with streaming media. And it expands the possibility of what, it fans out what we might go enjoy and restricts what the sort of mainstream, sort of dominant old school media used to do, and they have to suddenly get polished teeth, look good on camera, more so than they do things like say what happened.
It's such a shame. We need to
Because
bring
just judging
Walter
this room, we should all be
Cronkite.
newscasters.
I know, right? We need to bring Walter Cronkite back from the dead as some sort of like patron saint of journalism and just lay waste to the current state of affairs.
Oh, the Kronk.
Speaks slowly. He's got.
He's still alive?
No, he's gone.
Oh, that's what I thought. That's what
He speaks very
real
slowly.
slow now.
he speaks a different tongue now. Okay, so the next thing I have on my list is my time is about to go off. If the media is doing what's right, how far should they go? So so basically, like if we can agree that on somehow
Or how we want them.
like take the house the home invasion drug thing in the film, for example. That's obviously, I think everyone would agree that would be something that would be newsworthy and something that it would be the news's job to report, or at least something that they were definitely going to report anyways, whether it's something that like we need to know or not. It's obviously a sensational thing that they're going to report on. If they're going to sort of exploit these kind of things for ratings and therefore money, is there a limit to how far they should go? Like we see in the film, you know, the ethical question raised of like, can we run this footage? So what I'm saying is like, how do people feel about should they have run that footage? Are they, or does the news have a responsibility to say like, you know, we're just not going to go that far?
It's not a whether or not they should have run the footage or not. I think it's more in the movie. It's more along the lines of should she have added this was about drugs rather than it was just a family being killed.
That's also the thing. Yeah, they definitely bring attention to.
Well, no. She flat out tells them let the afternoon guys deal with it.
Which is another criticism against media because now they're arguably trying to create their own narrative. So now we've crossed the line from news to like written storytelling, like scripted material,
Even falsifying.
So like at that point, does it cease to even be journalism?
Well, I mean, in the movie, and I'm not saying like because I don't know any like
Examples
quote unquote
of
real
real
news
life,
people.
right.
They're no better than Lou.
Right. Because he would not exist without them.
Well, it's not
Right.
that he would not exist without them. They know the truth to the whole thing, but they don't put it on.
No shit. All they had to do was tell him no, like once. Like,
Well, not even no. I mean,
yeah, he would have done something else.
yeah. I mean, but it would have been like, you know, he could have sold it to another station. That station, you know, could have been like the High and Mighty station, which none of them are. They want to scoop everybody.
Well, of course. I mean, it's super competitive because and that's how they pay their bills and stuff. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like any of us trying to scoop Zeb on like someone dying.
Yeah, this can't be done.
I mean, it's never going to happen, but we all secretly want to do it.
Yeah.
Squad goals. Okay. So one more thing before we wrap it up here that I want to talk about. Okay. Let's talk Oscar snub. It seems as if the "You Blew It" Oscar theme won't go away.
No shit.
So basically, I'm gonna say for me, and Cody and I were talking about this the other day. That I don't believe that Nightcrawler should have won Best Picture necessarily, but I certainly believe it was snubbed and that it should have been nominated.
What was it up against?
It wasn't even nominated.
Oh.
And the other huge thing is Jake Gyllenhaal was not nominated for his performance in this. Meanwhile, you have other way shitty performances. Like Eddie Redmayne that won, and
oh god,
and fucking
so
Cumberbatch
awful.
in that piece of shit, The Imitation Game, and you have Steve Carell mistakenly nominated for Best Actor when he should have been for Best Supporting.
Yeah, what?
So I think that, but I also don't think that I don't think Gyllenhaal should have won, but I think he should have been nominated.
Yeah, he should have been in there.
Cinematography could have gone up. Editing could have gone up because it's a tight movie.
Editing is really good.
It's
Yeah.
trimmed.
Yeah, I mean, so are we looking at it like Oscars just totally fucking it up again?
Well, yeah.
Did it get anything?
It did get nominated for
Screenplay, right?
It got
Screenplay.
nominated for screenplay, but it didn't. Did it win?
No.
Lost to Birdman.
Okay, lost to Birdman.
Well, that's fine. I'm fine
There
with
you
that.
Yeah.
go. Was this a better film than Birdman though? Because I'm saying yeah. I don't think
no.
that Gyllenhaal was better than Michael Keaton, but I feel Nightcrawler was better than Birdman.
That could be true. I think 10 years from now we might come back to this conversation because we're all going to reassemble, right? It's going to be
Of course.
I'd have to come back to it at a later date because
I
I like Birdman more.
Did you really? Well,
Yeah.
please tell me why.
Well, I mean, just as a movie as a whole. I mean, now Nightcrawler had a lot of great things going for it. First time director, you know, you come out of the gates with this, you know,
That's pretty good shit.
and you put your talented wife in it as well. So,
Well, I mean,
yeah, really.
dude, I mean, Hollywood is the best place for nepotism. You know, that's how it works.
But I was just more enjoyed with Birdman, you know, than.
You felt the story was better, or you preferred the sort of the inventive way it was told, or
A little bit of both, and I like the cast. I mean, both casts are really, really good.
Right.
I mean, as much as I hate Jake Gyllenhaal, I actually cannot imagine another person that could have done this part.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like a Jennifer Aniston movie where you can just plug in
She
pretty
would've been
fucking
terrible.
anybody
Sure.
into that part. Now, other people could have done this part. I don't think this movie would have been as good for me if someone else had done it.
This was the first movie where I felt like Gyllenhaal had an actual character with some real depth that I'd seen from him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never hated him,
Right.
but I've always enjoyed him in films, but I'd never been like, oh, he's an actor.
Right. You never. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I've never been like because I'm a big Donnie Darko fan.
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I never was like, dude, like Gyllenhaal was like fucking
Right.
rad, right?
Well, I mean-
but after watching this, I'm like, this is the first time I'm like, dude, Gyllenhaal was fucking rad. You know.
It's no Bubble Boy.
Wait, get on
Yeah.
this. Get on this mic.
Has anyone seen Prisoners?
I've seen Prisoners.
No.
I have not.
Because I really loved his character in Prisoners. Like, there was a whole backstory going on with that character when he was similar to Lou in a lot of ways, where he's like very motivated and plays a detective. He's trying to find these kids,
Right.
and he's got like these tattoos, but you can see him, he's constantly covering them up, and like
Like he's uncomfortable with them, or
there's
something.
like this whole he's this fleshed out character that was really interesting, especially for a cop. So essentially a cop movie.
Did he do that before or after Nightcrawler?
Before, wasn't
Before.
it?
Before.
It was a fall release, wasn't
It was 2013 because I remember we were at DBA
Okay.
120 with
Yeah, when it came out.
I
So
remember.
know. Yeah.
it? Transcript is like
Yeah.
it's a Terminator, right?
Exactly.
I remember talking about it in Lisa's editing class, actually.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah. So it looks like, I mean, you know, and he's, you know, he was Southpaw, right? Like, he's drawn pretty good pretty good praise for that as well. So, I mean, perhaps he's really becoming
He's kind of our Paul Newman. You know, I think he's going to be here to stay, and I think we're all of us of an age, we're going to age with him.
Right.
And I believe he'll be in movies a long, long time, and we'll be going to movies for a long, long time.
Well, he lasted since Bubble Boy, so I think he's
That's right.
He's going to be all right.
He's withstood some things.
You know?
Well,
and
you know.
he dealt with the Taylor Swift whole,
Yeah, that's true. Came out on top, and he basically has made the transition from being like a child actor essentially
Right.
to an adult, and that's the giant
huge.
hurdle to overcome. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of Las Películas Sábados Gigantes at the Cine Marijuana Theater. We'll be back next week to discuss whatever it is that we're watching tonight. Let's go around clockwise and introduce ourselves. I'm Ed.
I'm Raul.
Jason.
Kenzie.
Just shout him out.
Chris.
Cody.
Chris.
I am Zeb.
No, you're not.
I can't be that old timey.
Oh yeah, and we have that.
Yeah, nobody does it like.
Zeb will probably be back with us. Next week. We had.
Hey, Kappa, my name is Zeb.
We had a thing happen. And he's having to deal with official people to take care of it. I don't know if he wants to discuss it or not, but he can tell us next week if he
Oh,
wants
goddamn,
to.
I want to know.
Official people.
So,
Dude, was Chestnut importing Coke?
I'll tell yeah, right. Don't tell
Chestnut
anybody. Dude, okay, all right, so that'll do it for us. We'll be back next week with more. Thanks for tuning in.